Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Luke, and today we'll be discussing getting your results and what happens next. We have a couple of staff on the chat, so if you have questions, please enter them there. We've had a lot of registrations for today's session, so we may not get to all of your questions, but our staff will do their best. So a quick agenda for today. We'll be talking about the ATAR, what it is and how it's calculated. Then we'll discuss change of preference and offers, and we'll finish up on where you can access support over the coming week or so. But before we get into all of that, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So we've obviously got a lot of upcoming key dates. So the VCE results and ATARs will be released at 7 a.m. this Thursday. Then change of preference for the big December offer round will close midday on the 13th. So that'll give you a little over 2 days to make any final adjustments to your preferences. If we have any IB students joining us today, your IB notional ATAR will be released on the 18th, and you'll have until 4 p.m. that day to finalise your preferences. For any interstate students that might be joining us today, your change of preference deadlines may differ. So visit the VTAC dates page for details. That's at vtac.edu.au/dates. The big December offer round takes place on the 23rd, and change of preference for January round 1 offers closes that day at 4 p.m. So the next offer round is January 13, and there will be subsequent offer rounds in late January and throughout February. Okay, so on to the Australian tertiary admissions rank. So ATAR stands for Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank. So it's a rank and not a score. It ranks a Year 12's achievement compared to their age group in a given year, and it's nationally equivalent. This means that an ATAR of, say, 65 will apply as is across the country. So students can apply anywhere in the country with their ATAR, and it'll remain as is in all other states. So for any interstate students with us today, if you get an ATAR, we'll go with 65 again. We won't make any changes to it if you're applying through us. It's a tool for tertiary selection based on relative performance in the VCE. It's calculated solely for use by institutions for tertiary admissions. So it's there to get you into a course. It has no other function. It allows tertiary courses to make fair comparisons between students who have completed different combinations of senior secondary subjects and reported as a figure between 0 and 99.95 in increments of 0.05. So why do universities use the ATAR? Because most courses will receive more applicants than they have spaces. So they need a way to rank their applicants. ATAR allows courses to make offers based purely on academic merit, efficiently, transparently, and without any bias or arbitrary decision-making. It is not a score for the VCE, and it certainly does not define a person, nor is it a measure of anybody's worth. It's just a selection tool used by universities to get you into a course. So how do we calculate it? There are 3 stages when calculating the ATAR. There's scaling, aggregate, and then the ATAR. So why is it necessary to scale subjects? Well, the first thing about scaling, it's got nothing to do with how hard or how easy we think subjects are. It's about the competition within each subject. But what does that mean? Well, before we go into the hows and whys of scaling, we need to briefly discuss and further clarify VCE study scores. What we need to understand about VCE study scores is that they're not actually scores. They are rankings or relative positions. They're reported as a figure between 0 and 50, and 30 is always the average. And they're sort of measured on this bell curve that you can see on the screen there. So if a student has achieved a study score of 30 in, say, chemistry, they've performed better than 50% of the chemistry cohort for that year. Our student is sitting in the middle of that curve because when the whole cohort's results are put in order, they sit exactly in the middle, regardless of their specific exam results or assignment marks. So because each study score measures achievement in each VCE subject alone, and each VCE subject is undertaken by a different cohort of students. For example, the cohort of students undertaking physics this year is different from the one doing literature, which is different from the group of students studying music composition, which is different to those doing physical education. The level of competition to achieve that middle rank of 30 differs across each subject, not because of an inherent difficulty in the subject or because of the subject curriculum, but purely because of who else is undertaking it. Because of this, it means that you can be of equal strength in two VCE subjects and receive two different study scores for them. So let me sort of put it this way using a sporting analogy. It's going to be easier for me to place middle in the Victorian final of the 100-meter sprint than it will for me to place middle in the 100-meter sprint at the Olympics. Both are run over the same distance and have the same rules. But the only thing that really changes is the cohort of athletes. One is more competitive than the other. So what scaling does is accounts for the differing level of competition between studies and gives us a result as if every VCE student had done the same subject. The purpose is to ensure that a scaled score of 30 in one subject is equivalent to a scaled score of 30 across all other studies. So scaling is a purely mathematical process about the different cohorts of students undertaking different subjects. It's got nothing to do with perceived level of difficulty or subject curriculum or content. It's not about individuals or schools. It's applied across the state, and everyone that receives the same VCE study score receives the same scaled score. It's conducted each year for each VCE and scored VCE vet subject, and no outcomes are predetermined. A student study score is scaled in the year in which it was achieved, even if that's not the same year that they qualified for an ATAR. So if you did a Unit 3 and 4 subject last year in Year 11, it was scaled then, and we won't make any changes to it this year. So how do we do it? Continuing with the chemistry example, we look at all of the VCE chemistry students and take an average of their performance in all of their studies, including chemistry. And where that average is higher than 30, scaling goes up because it tells us that they were a more competitive cohort and that it was harder to be average in that subject for that year. If the average of all their studies were, say, 28, scaling would go down for that subject. What if there was no scaling? Well, there'd be no consistency across subjects. As we've discussed, because study scores are rankings within a particular subject, they're not equivalent. You can be of equal strength in two subjects and receive two different study scores depending on the student cohort. So when it comes to assessing your application, for when universities assess your applications, this can lead to subjective decisions, and then making assumptions about certain subjects. With scaling, we have that consistency. A 30 in one is the same as 30 in another. Two students with the same ATAR are treated the same way, and no arbitrary decisions or assumptions are made about them or their application. So to summarize, scaling is a purely mathematical process about the level of competition within a subject, and it's got nothing to do with perceived difficulty or subject content, but it's about who else is doing the subject. It's applied across the state and not about individuals or schools. And the process is conducted fresh each year. And while you can probably see patterns each year, there are usually a few surprises as no outcomes are predetermined. And again, a student study score is scaled in the year in which they achieved it. So again, if you did a 3 and 4 subject last year, it was scaled then, and we'll make no further changes to it this year or anything. We also have a video that explains scaling visually. It's available on the VTAC YouTube channel, and it goes through pretty much everything I just spoke about in under 4 minutes. Okay, so the next step is the aggregate. The aggregate is the total of all eligible subject contributions to the ATAR. So your primary 4, if you've done a 5th or 6th subject, those increment bumps, mostly 10% of your scaled study score, it's the sum of everything that's contributing. To be eligible for an aggregate and therefore an ATAR, you have to complete the VCE, so at least 16 units, and complete at least 4 scored subjects, including one from the English group. In terms of how your contributing subjects are ordered, we'll use the best combination possible. So you don't need to notify us or nominate subjects. We've got all the information and we just use the best combination. Your compulsory English subject will be at the top of your primary 4, then your next 3 highest eligible subjects in descending order. And if you've done a 5th or 6th subject, they'll go as increments. And in a few slides, I'll show you an example ATAR calculation. So after we've got your aggregate, then we get your ATAR. So the aggregates are arranged in order with bands of maximum students. So that's around 39 to 40 at the top and decreasing as the ATARs get lower. The maximum will always be 99.95 and not 100. This is because the ATAR is a percentile ranking that ranks students against everyone in the Year 12 age group. A student's ATAR represents the percentage of people they performed higher than. Therefore, it's statistically impossible for the students with the highest result to perform better than themselves. So the ATAR is a band. It's not one aggregate value applying to one ATAR value. It's a range of values. So in this example, we can see that an aggregate range of 196.02 to 198.79 corresponds to an ATAR of 99.50. This table is published each year with the results and is available at vtac.edu.au/reports, or you can go to the VTAC website and head to the reports and statistics area, then navigate to the aggregate to ATAR table. So here we have an example ATAR calculation. It's a real one from a couple of years ago. At the top is the compulsory English subject that's embedded at the top, regardless of scaled study score. Then we have the remaining permissible 3 subjects. They're listed in descending order of scaled study score and the 2 increments underneath. So we can see towards the bottom right of the table that this person's aggregate, the sum of all their subject contributions, is 136.17, which converts to an ATAR of 80.30. So there are other examples on the ATAR and on the ATAR and scaling section of the VTAC website. Just head to vtac.edu.au/ATAR. Okay, so how will you receive your results? Results will be released at 7 a.m. this Thursday via a joint results service with VCAA. You can go to the Results in ATAR website at resultsinatar.vic.edu.au or download the joint results app. You'll first need to register a secure password to access the service on the big day. This only takes a couple of minutes. You will need your VCAA number. For reasons that I hope are obvious, we recommend that you don't wait until 6:58 a.m. on Thursday morning to register. Do it today, do it tomorrow. just so that you can log in without any delay or issue on Thursday morning. Paid VTAC applicants will receive an official digital ATAR through the My Equals platform. This is the digital credential platform used by every university in Australia and nearly all of the TAFEs as well. You'll receive an email invitation on the 16th to create your My Equals account. That'll have instructions, and there you can access your official ATAR document. For IB students, your email invitation will come through on the 19th. For those who have not applied for courses, you can order a printed version through the VTAC website. Okay, so we've done ATAR, on to change of preference. After receiving your results, there will be a short window to finalise your preferences for December offers. VCE students have until midday on Saturday the 13th to finalise their preferences, so a little over 2 days. After December offers are released on the 23rd, change of preference will reopen for a 6-hour window to make adjustments for January round 1 offers. IB students will receive their notional ATAR on the 18th, and change of preference will close 4 p.m. that day. For interstate students with us today, your deadlines can vary, so check the VTAC dates page for details. That's at vtac.edu.au/dates. So in terms of how you should list courses, just list them in the order you want to get into them, or in order of your preference. So that means placing your dream courses at the top. So that's somewhere to be, the top is somewhere to be aspirational. Other courses that interest you and that you'd be happy to pursue in the middle, then your backup courses and pathways at the bottom. This is super important because you're eligible for 1 offer per offer round, and that offer will come from the highest preference to make you an offer. So if you receive an offer from preference number 3, that means preference 1 and 2 didn't make you an offer. You won't find out about the lower preferences, as those places will have gone to other applicants. Don't make the mistake of listing courses in the order you think you'll get into them. Here's why. Let's say engineering is your dream course, but you think you've got a better chance of receiving an offer for science. So you move science to the top and engineering, your most preferred course, underneath. If you meet the requirements of both courses, you'll receive an offer for science because it's the highest preference, and you'll miss out on the course you actually want most, which is engineering. But if you had listed courses in order of your preference or in the order you wanted to get into them, with your dream course at the very top, that's what you'll have received an offer for. Your most wanted course, engineering. So remember, you're eligible for 1 offer per offer round, and for your best chance of receiving an offer for your most wanted available course, list courses in the order you want to get into them, with your dream courses at the top. Institutions don't consider where you've placed their course on your preference list. This includes the various early offer programs. You have the same chance of receiving an offer for a course, regardless of whether it is your first, last, or middle preference. Your application for each course on your preference list will be assessed on the published selection criteria. Prerequisites, ATAR, if they require an audition or an interview. It is never preference level. So we have another explainer, this one on preferences, and this goes through everything I've just spoken about in under 3 minutes. So, and that's also available on the VTAC YouTube channel. Okay, now on to offers. December offers will be released by 10 a.m. on Tuesday, the 23rd. Offers will be emailed progressively and in random order from the early morning until 10 a.m., at which point they'll become available in your VTAC account. Change of preference will open between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. that day for January round one offers released on the 13th of January. So after you receive your offer notification from VTAC by 10 a.m. on the 23rd, the institution making the offer will follow up via email with instructions on how to accept the offer and the deadline for accepting it. If you don't receive that email, you'll need to contact the institution and not VTAC. So there are three things you can do with your offer. You can accept it by following the enrollment instructions from the institution. Now, by doing that, you're securing a place for 2026, and you're actually still eligible for offers from your higher preferences. You can reject an offer. To reject an offer, simply ignore the follow-up email. The offer will lapse by the institution's deadline, and the place will go to somebody else in the next offer round. Just know that if you do reject an offer, you will not be offered this course again for semester 1, 2026. So you will lose the opportunity. Lastly, you can defer an offer, but please understand that not every course can be deferred. So if you're intending to secure a place, then take a gap year in 2026, speak to your chosen institutions and confirm that their courses can be deferred. It's always a good idea to accept an offer. Accepting an offer simply means that you're securing a place for study in 2026. It won't impact on your eligibility for offers from higher preferences in future offer rounds. If you reject your first offer, you'll lose the opportunity and the place will go to somebody else, and you risk not receiving another offer. So it's a good idea to accept your offer, you secure the place for 2026, and then if you receive a preferred offer from a higher preference, just accept that, but you'll have to withdraw from the previous one. Regardless of what you do with your offer, the offers process continues. Any course listed higher than your offered course will be considered in the next offer round. Any course underneath will not be considered. Change of preference reopens after each offer round, so you can actually move other courses higher for consideration. Now, this means that you can move existing preferences higher, or you can add in other, if you've come across another course or have a bit of a change of mind, you can move other courses, or you can add other courses above your offered course for consideration. And again, should you receive a preferred offer from a higher preference in the next offer round, just accept that and withdraw from the previous one. But again, it's only higher preferences that are considered. And we have another explainer on this process. So this one on offers, the offer system through VTAC, and it goes through the offer system in about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So that's also available on the VTAC YouTube channel. Okay, so the support available for the period following the results release. First is the post-results and ATAR service, or PRAS. It's staffed by both VTAC and VCAA members. They can be contacted on phone or by email during the on-screen times. So on the day of the results release, the Friday, the weekend, and then finishing up on the Monday. There's also some really good information on their website. So pras.resultsandatar.vic.edu.au, and a really good FAQ. We're also hosting another webinar on Thursday. This will focus more on preferences, offers, and pathways. You can use the QR code to sign up or just head to vtac.edu.au/events. The VTAC office will also be taking calls on Saturday. The day change of preference closes between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And that brings us to the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have any further questions or if we didn't get to your questions, don't hesitate to contact us via the contact center or via email. You can reach out through our social media channels. Good luck for Thursday and also the rest of the month. Thanks.